Welcome to the Real Digital Success Podcast. This is the podcast allergic to everything fake and addicted to everything online, authentic, and real. I'm your host, Rocher, aka the meticulous marketer, the improbable interviewer, and the practical podcaster. I hope everyone has been doing well. I have a special treat for you today because we have our first guest on the show. Her name is Amira, and she's a lawyer who has created a legal blog that grew to make over $60,000 a month in 2 years, which is pretty crazy. On her website, she provides people with the means to protect her website legally. And today, she's going to share some of that knowledge with us. So without further ado, let's start the show. So, Amira, welcome to the Real Digital Podcast.
Thank you for having me. So glad to be here.
Yeah, I've been watching basically your journey from afar for a while now. And it really inspired me to do more with my blogging and know that there's more out there for me to achieve. So thank you for that.
Oh, I'm so glad I was able to help any way I can.
Then for the watchers, what is Aselfguru and why did you start it?
Yeah, so great question. I am a business lawyer, so I work full time as a lawyer. And a couple of years ago, I got inspired by watching a YouTube video of six-figure bloggers. And then I was like, oh my God, blogging is a way to make money. Before that, like I had no idea. I had never ever had an online business or, I was not experienced with the whole tech thing and all of this stuff. But anyhow, their video and the success story really inspired me. So I then took action and started my blog the next day. And so I started Aselfguru at the time with the intention of like it was going to be a self employment kind of a blog, self guru, like someone who's like kind of self-taught. But I didn't know the direction that my blog was going to take, but I had an idea that somehow I wanted to incorporate my diverse background as a lawyer. Before that, I was a teacher. Before that, I was a model. So I kind of have like a very diverse skill set, and somehow I wanted to incorporate everything into my blogging business. And I knew from the beginning I was going to turn it into a business. And it just so happened that the legal aspect of it was extremely helpful for bloggers, entrepreneurs, and that's the one that connected with people fast because so many people need help with protecting their online business legally, and it's not that affordable when you just hire a lawyer. So that's how like my blog kind of transformed into now I turned it into a six-figure blogging business. Actually more than that, this year like $500,000 business. And then I teach basically entrepreneurs like how to make money blogging while protecting their business legally. So I share my journey, like how I took my blog from 0 to 6 figures. And then I also kind of help them to make sure that they are covering themselves legally.
Wow, that's really great to hear. I remember looking at your blog and your bio, and I read something that like really blew my mind at the moment. But it said you went from $0 to $60,000 a month. How long did it take for you to get to that point?
Less than 2 years while working full-time as a lawyer, and honestly almost full-time on my blog too, because as much as I say that it's a side gig, but it's really my passion project. So a lot of weekends, late nights, you know what I mean, like just really dedicating and committing to doing the work. And so a lot of time that I've spent. So like less than 2 years that it took to get to that milestone.
Yeah, I think that was the most inspirational thing in when I learned about you. It was basically that you did it while having a full-time job. Because I remember when I first started, it was really hard to combine everything. So you need to learn how to hack certain things. And I'm curious, how did your days look like when you started this blogging thing?
Oh my goodness, like so much burnout, so much frustration, so much like little time. I mean, still don't have a lot of time, but it was very crazy, very hectic because as I mentioned, I didn't have any tech experience. I have never had created a website of my own before. So it was a big transition practicing in the traditional sense, like, as a lawyer, meeting clients and face to face, and then kind of taking that knowledge and taking that experience to the online world is very different, and so there was a lot of learning and a lot of hours just spent like learning the ins and outs, like, okay, how to do this, how to do that, or how to create the page, how to create a sales page, how to create a product, but that's where I think like taking a course, which is what I did, was the best decision, because instead of like surfing the internet or wasting more time watching free stuff, I was able to kind of speed up my progress by investing in a good course that taught me the
Mm,
ABC of blogging. So that was very helpful because then I was very productive and I was intentional with everything I was doing. So I wasn't just doing it for the sake of just doing it. There was a purpose behind it. There was thought behind it. And I knew that, okay, this is how you monetize this. So because I learned those strategies and tips and tricks, so yeah, in the beginning, awful, like in the sense, like it was very hard. Like there were many times I wanted to quit, to be honest, because it was just so much work, right? Like I
yeah.
didn't realize the amount of work that blogging involves. There's so many segments. Like you got email marketing to catch up with, you got product creation, you got blog post writing, you got a Facebook group you're also being, engaged with, and just so many different ways you're pulled in multiple different directions. And so it's very hard to keep up with everything.
Yeah, I can really relate to that, especially the course thing, because I am like stupidly stubborn, and I'm finally aware of that. But I remember like the first few months, I was just looking at Google guides about how to blog, and I would waste like entire days
Yeah.
just finding out how to, I don't know, edit a picture or something like that. So
Yeah.
I remember when I got my first course, it was like mind blowing for me. Like, oh, I could have, I don't know, I wasted so much time for nothing. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people do that, right? Like a lot of us just think that, oh, we can figure this out. We're smart,
yeah.
So, but we don't realize that how much valuable time that we're wasting in that process. And time lost to me is money lost, because time is money for me. And as it is working full time, I had such limited time that I had to really maximize that.
Yeah. Because I'm curious now, though, because if you look at your days in the past when you're starting and you compare them to now, are there a few differences in it? Has it become less stressful, or would you say you're doing more now than you did then?
Yeah, no, great question. Yes, there are definitely big differences. I don't experience burnout as much as I did in the beginning stages, because in the beginning, you're learning everything, you're very new. Things are not streamlined. You don't really have processes and systems in place. You're kind of starting from scratch. So there's a lot of work to be done at the beginning. But now, I have a lot of systems and processes in place. I have standard operating procedures. I've hired a bunch of people to help me with my business. So that in itself has allowed me the more freedom, right? So hiring virtual assistants, hiring other people to help me in different aspects of my business has been really, really a blessing. So comparing that to the very beginning when I was doing everything on my own, so that was a lot, right? And then now the money that I've made, I'm using it wisely to reinvest in my business for, better, I don't know, better tools, or like just hiring more people to free up my time. So all of these things, I think are just so important to allow you to, have a better quality of life. And I just experience less burnout and frustration and stress. But I still do a lot. And don't get me wrong, the work is growing, the business is growing. There's a lot more, but I think the work that I'm focusing my time and energy on is just the high level, the ones that are going to be the most return on my time are the ones I'm focusing on. So
Uh,
So the low priority tasks are being outsourced. And that to me is very important if you want to grow and scale your business.
Yeah. So you're basically upholding the 80-20 rule while yeah,
Yeah.
the rest of your staff is doing the other stuff around that.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
Very interesting. From what I gather, or at least over the years, what I've seen from you, you basically offer means of protecting your businesses. So, what exactly are we do we need to protect our business from?
Yeah. So what I offer is like legal templates, contracts, legal documents, the essential legal documents that every entrepreneur needs, right? Like if you have an online presence, you're going to want to make sure any business, to be honest, whether you're online or whether you have a brick and mortar business, you know that there are certain legalities that you have to abide by. You have to be mindful of like what things you need to do, how to comply with the laws. So that's where I come in, and I help you, and I help make that process easy. To answer your question, you're protecting yourself from legal liability. You're protecting yourself from disputes, ugly disputes with customers, clients. You're protecting yourself from lawsuits, as a lawyer practicing for like so many years now. And then just in the last 10 years alone, I've seen like so many ugly disputes. I mean, helping my clients navigate through all of that. I brought all of that knowledge and expertise and created these legal templates that really will make your life easy. And I help people, get all of these documents, and so that their business is protected legally. And you're just making sure that you're saving yourself from stress, headache, and any kind of legal issues down the road.
I remember back when I started, I was really scared of these things,
Hmm.
especially since I started with an affiliate marketing website that did a lot of product reviews. And I remember one scam company just emailing me about them possibly suing me, and I would get a heart attack,
Wow.
basically because I was thinking like, oh, what's going to happen? I don't know what I should do about this and all that kind of stuff. I think it would have really helped if at the beginning I got to see your website and see what you actually can do to protect your company like that. But I know that a lot of people that are going to listen to this are going to find a lot of value in what you are offering.
Yeah, no, absolutely. For sure. It's just, you're not alone, because I've had so many, entrepreneurs tell me that, not just my customers, but even the clients that I represented in court, all kinds of silly things you don't think about that could come back and haunt you, right? So yeah, and then even from my personal experience, my dad as a business owner was sued for $90,000. We never saw it coming. I wasn't a lawyer yet. I was still, actually, that's one of the big reasons I'm a lawyer today, because that really turned our life upside down. I was in college, I come home and I see my dad being served, and that lawsuit like lasted like an entire year. And talk about like losing our appetite, losing our sleep, losing tons of money. I mean, we lost our whole entire family business, and the devastation, I can't even put it in words. So just experiencing that firsthand has really shown me like, okay, what do people go through, what it is like. And that's one of the big motivation behind why my legal templates, or why what I offer, that I'm so passionate about, but also why I keep it so affordable, because I have experienced the financial hardship growing up, and I just don't want that to be the reason for people to not be able to afford the legal help that they really absolutely need to protect themselves.
Yeah, because you talk about making them affordable. So, how much would it normally cost for a lawyer to write up templates like these?
Yeah, no, great question. So lawyers, definitely in the US are very expensive, but not just even in the US. I think anywhere in the world, lawyers generally are expensive. But I'll give you an example. My hourly rate is $350 an hour, but I have friends that are charging, $500 an hour. I have friends charging $250 an hour. So if you just do the math, if you hire a lawyer to, let's say, write up your website legal pages, which is like privacy policy, disclaimer, terms and conditions. These are 3 legal pages that pretty much every website should have. A privacy policy is actually legally required. But let's say you hire me and you say, Amira, like I want you to just write these custom documents for me. Imagine, you're paying me by the hour, so $350 an hour. And then let's say I don't know, I take like 3 hours to complete the work because it's 3 different legal pages, right? So that's pretty reasonable. It's going to take me 3 hours minimum to do the work. So now you're going to pay easily more than $1,000 to me.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So compare that, and that's just one example. Now, if you were to hire a lawyer who's going to charge you $500 an hour, then imagine, then then it gets even more expensive. But let's not forget that before you even get to that step, there will be a consultation cost. You'll consult with the lawyer. You're going to pay another, I don't know, $250, $300, whatever their price is. You're going to pay that on top of that. So when you do all of that stuff in comparison, the legal templates or the different contract templates that I offer just become a no-brainer deal, because you're not even paying a 1/10 of that, and you're just getting the lawyer level protection without that big hefty price tag.
That's really nice. I can imagine a lot of startups can use that, especially when you're starting out and you don't really have that much money. When you hear stuff like $5,000 for legal templates, it kind of looks like a real big roadblock on your way
Yes.
to creating your own business.
Yeah, I mean, there are other lawyers for the same exact legal bundles in the online space. I see charging like thousands and thousands of dollars for the same templates, and like you said, not everybody can afford that, right? Because when you're starting a new business, you have a lot to worry about, and you don't even know if the business, like if it's going to be even a success, then before you start investing thousands of dollars, right?
So I was wondering, what are 3 things we can do to protect our website?
Yeah, so this is a good question, a very common one. So there are 3 things that you should do. They're actually, like, I'm going to say like 2 things, and then I'm going to explain what I mean.
Yeah.
So the first thing is that you should have 3 website legal pages on your site, no matter what kind of business you're running. You could be a blogger, you could be a podcaster, you could be a freelancer, you could be a coach, doesn't matter, even an e-commerce business. Just make sure that you have at least 3 essential website legal pages on, the privacy policy, the disclaimer, the terms and conditions. And let me just briefly kind of explain why. So the privacy policy is legally required. It's not an optional document. It basically tells people that what are you doing with their personal information, how are you collecting it, and what are you doing with it. For example, I come to your website, I subscribe to your email list. Now I just gave you my personal information. I gave you my name, I gave you my email address. So I have the legal right to know, what are you going to do with that info, So that's where the privacy policy comes in. It outlines all these important legal provisions. It educates the website visitors as to how you're protecting their information, what are you doing with it. And then also, you have privacy laws that you have to comply with. Then the second legal page that you should have on your website is called a disclaimer. Disclaimer basically mean, and you must have seen so many different kinds of disclaimers, like legal disclaimer, medical disclaimer, financial disclaimer. They're all over the place, right? So the main purpose that they solve is, like, they basically protect you from lawsuits. They protect you from legal liability, because as a lawyer, if I'm publishing something on my website and I don't want you to construe it as legal advice and then come after me later and be like, oh, Amira, you said this and I did exactly that. And now I want to, and now I suffered this negative consequence. Or let's say you're a health coach and you're recommending a supplement, right? And you provide the supplement on your website and you're like, oh, this is amazing, blah, 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 blah. And then this person takes your supplement or advice, and then next thing you know, ends up being in a hospital and wants to now sue you. So there are all these different things that could go wrong because of what you publish. So as much as we love the internet and information sharing, but we got to make sure that, hey, we cover ourselves legally first. We don't want to publish anything that the other person could then come after us for. So that's where a proper a legal disclaimer helps you, because it not only cuts your liability, but also kind of tells your reader that, hey, do not take everything I say to, just make sure to exercise your due diligence, your research, and it helps you in that sense so that they can't come and hold you responsible. Then the third legal page that you should have on your website is what's called a terms and conditions, terms of use, or terms of purchase. They're all three different terms kind of used interchangeably, but they're really important to outline your website rules, like what you permit, what you don't permit, what's the age of the visitors that you're serving, where are you going to resolve legal disputes if there is ever an issue with a customer, or if any other kind of issue that pops up, what's the governing law, where, you obviously want it to be wherever you reside. You want to cut your legal costs, so you want to like have different legal provisions in there, like mediation, arbitration. You just want to have like, and also if you're selling products and services, then you definitely want to have those intellectual property terms in there, like, okay, this is the product, what you can do, what you cannot do with it, and what's your refund policy, what's your exchange policy. So there's so many things, like I said, that we don't think about that could go wrong until they actually happen to us. So this is where a website terms and conditions is really important. So these three are like your core legal policies that every entrepreneur should have, a proper one from a lawyer written, and then because they cover you. And then on top of that, the second thing I want to mention, remember I said there's two things.
Yeah.
So the second thing is that you want to also not just have that's the bare minimum to get started, but you also want to have proper legal contracts whenever you're working with others.
Yeah.
So let's say I hire you as a freelancer to design my website, to as my virtual assistant, or a graphic designer or whatever. I want to make sure that that relationship is protected with a contract. So this way we don't have any misunderstandings, we don't have any financial disputes or any other kind of legal issues. So just protect yourself, depending on whatever you're doing in your business, even if you're hiring people, if you are working with brands for sponsored content, like you're creating sponsored posts, sponsorships, and you want to have a contract in place for that. You're accepting guest posts on your website, you want to have like a actual contract to cover yourself with the proper guidelines. So in other words, there's so many different contracts that you will need depending on what is it that you're doing. And so yeah, between those two, I think those are like the basic fundamental things that you absolutely need. And if you need any help with any of that, you can always visit my legal store. I have all of these different templates for different situations and bundles discounted to help you out.
Nice. It's pretty amazing that a piece of paper actually can protect you from so much. At first you wouldn't imagine that, but there are probably millions of lawsuits that have been prevented just by having these pieces of paper.
Yeah, and not just the lawsuits part, but also the peace of mind that they give you, right?
Yeah.
So going back to my dad's lawsuit, it could have been easily avoided, and we kick ourselves, so I mean, my dad especially, for this legal mistake, is it could have been easily avoided if he had a freelance contract with his freelancer. So freelancer ended up suing him. So if he had a contract in place to, protect the relationship, we would have never faced that lawsuit. So it just goes to show that, just like you said, a simple piece of paper is, could have made a big difference in our life.
Wow. It's still crazy to think of that. Not having these can basically alter the way your life goes or your career goes. So it's I
Yeah.
don't know what to say when you think about how much impact these templates really can have.
Absolutely. And then, as I think as a professional, like if you're really treating your business as a business, right? Then you got to then give that professional look. You want to then not come across as an amateur, right? Like
Yeah.
you want to present that professional image, and these contracts and legal documents give you that, right? Because then it shows to the other person that, hey, I mean business,
Yeah.
I'm not someone to be taken advantage of, and I know what I'm doing. So it helps establish that credibility and reputation as well.
Mm. But the funny thing is, though, sometimes I just go on Google and I just see free legal templates that you can use where you basically just fill in your name and your website and that kind of stuff. And they basically say that you're ready to go with those. What is basically then the difference between the templates that you offer and those that are on Google, basically?
Yeah, another great question. You're asking all the right questions today. So,
I guess I'm on fire today.
yes, you are. This is an excellent question because it is also a frequently asked question. And I ended up asking this exact question to pretty much every single customer that has purchased my template. And because I feel like the best testament is from your actual customers and or clients, right? Because I can sit here and say, my templates are the best, but the real the truth is that what my customers and my clients say is what really matters, right?
Yeah.
So but I will tell you what they've said, and there's even a blog post that I published. So if someone wants to go to my website, the legal tips page, they can read where I interviewed 50 some different entrepreneurs, and they reveal in their own words why they don't trust the free legal templates and why they invested in my templates instead. But I'll give you a brief version of it. So the number one reason is that, and this is true because I've been auditing free legal templates for like 10 years. So as a lawyer, I know that how deficient they are and why they're missing, like why they don't protect your business, because they're always missing key legal provisions that you must have. If you go to any website, like a free legal policy, even a free privacy policy website, you'll see that when you start adding in things like GDPR compliance, cookie policy, CCPA compliance, that template is no longer going to be free for you. You're going to end up having to pay extra to get that compliance or get those additional legal provisions.
Yeah.
And take a look at that post, because in that blog post that I just shared, I actually show my results. Like I go to these websites, I have literally pasted the links, and I've shown you that why this privacy policy isn't good or why this one doesn't work and things like that. So you'll actually get to see it for yourself. But that's the number one reason, that if you're going to go ahead and grab a template and then expect it to serve you well and protect you in court, then you're really mistaken with these free legal templates, because if they don't even include the legal provisions that you absolutely need to cover you, then how can you expect them to protect you?
Yeah.
That's the number one reason. The number two reason is that they're just not comprehensive enough to, like I just said, to cover all the different nuances and the legal stuff that you need. And also they waste a lot of time, because you're going to go to Google, you're going to search, you're going to find maybe 2-3 different versions, then you're going to try to compile your own version.
Yeah.
And once again, you are not a lawyer. If you are a lawyer, great, you can write your own policies and your own documents. But if you're not trained in this area, then you're going to end up wasting so much time, and in the end even money, because like I said, trying to do all this together if you don't have the legal background is very frustrating, very confusing, very intimidating, And another thing, you don't get free lifetime updates with free templates. Like with my templates,
Oh.
right? With every template that you purchase from me, if the laws change, anything changes, you get free updates. Like this is like the sweetest deal. Like I'm not going to charge you if tomorrow I have to update. And in fact, when we had to make some updates earlier this year for the new California law that came into effect, the California CCPA, every single person that had purchased my template got those updates for free. So I didn't, that's another big benefit. Like you have a lawyer literally by your side, as a support to help you whenever things change, to navigate, to make your life easy, because then you don't have to stop what you're doing. You know that you got a person that will literally do the work for you. you also get to use these templates on multiple businesses of your own. Like I don't limit you to one license, right? Like
Oh,
I have other lawyer friends who do that, but I am different. And like I said, I like to help. So I don't limit you that, oh, just because you have this one website that you're only limited to use my legal bundle on that website. No, if tomorrow you have 3 different businesses of your own, you cannot share it with friends and family, but if it's your own business, you can certainly use the same templates over and over and over again. Imagine how much money and how much time you're saving, you know? So yeah, so there's so many and then you also get like a community support. Like you get access to my Facebook group where I'm fully engaged, I'm active. You have any questions, you have any concerns, you know, and you are in my Facebook group, so
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So, you know, so I feel like with all of those perks and all of those benefits, like you just can't, the free legal templates don't even compare, right? Because you don't get any of that. And again, you know, like if you read that blog post, you will see a lot more detail, and you'll actually hear or see from my customers that will tell you in their own words that why they don't trust the free legal templates. To me, that's the highest compliment I could receive, because if my own customers say, hey, Amira, I ditched the free templates to purchase yours, or I don't trust the free leave-in templates, or that I compared yours with the free and I'm like so much at peace right now, I feel like those are the kind of statements that truly make my day, you know, and really show you the kind of value I bring.
Yeah, because I just for fun, I was just looking at some templates on Google and that kind of stuff, and then you see them on websites, and they really encourage you to use them. But then you see like this template was written in 2014, and then you're like, I don't know if this is a good idea to use that one.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the funny thing is, like, you don't, and the scary thing actually is you don't even know who wrote it, right? Like
Yeah,
you have no idea. It could be someone just mojo, whatever, and just like, oh, here's a template, you know what I mean?
yeah, because that was the first thing that came into my mind. Like, who wrote this, and
Yeah.
why are they still saying that we should use
Yes.
them in 2020 after
Yes.
such a long time with all kinds of changes with the
Yeah.
GDPR and all that kind of stuff? And they're like, no, you're fine. Just use this one.
Yeah, exactly. And you know that how quickly the laws change, right?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, yeah, even just in the last 2 years, you know,
yeah.
like had some big changes.
Yeah, it's really crazy to comprehend. So I can imagine that a lot of people get a peace of mind when they know that all their templates are being updated, and you'll know you'll be protected for anything no matter what happens. That's a really valuable thing to have, especially I think when you're an entrepreneur and you're juggling around with so much stuff and so much things to do. The last thing you want to think about in the back of your head is like, ooh, that changed there, I need to do something about it, or I might be liable for a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I always give the comparison of like tax and medical tax and legal. Those are like my 3 areas where honestly I do not go cheap because because I want that peace of mind. I mean, they have some really serious consequences. You know, if you don't take care of your taxes properly, you know, there's a big liability waiting for you financially. If you don't take care of your health and go to an actual doctor, then again, there's a big scare there, right?
Yeah,
So same thing with legal. Like if you don't do things from the beginning, then there's a big lawsuit waiting, you know? So I feel like those are 3 areas that I really don't compromise on. And I don't think anybody in the right state of mind should, because it's like, again, it's a business. You're putting your hard sweat, you know, blood, sweat, tears in it. And I know because I built it from scratch. And imagine, you know, like why would you not protect it like properly, like is what baffles me. If sometimes I see people like, oh, you know, oh, this, what I'm saying is, like, sometimes people will say like, oh, I can't do this or I can't afford it, but really you can. You know, the legal templates are very, very affordable than hiring a lawyer, so there's no excuse.
yeah. I think it's just a matter of knowing that they are out there, because
Yes.
I
Yeah.
when when I started, I was thinking about those things, but I was like, I don't have the money to do that, and I don't know exactly where to start with this. So just having someone like you out there just helping and providing people with this is a really great thing. And I can understand why a lot of people love you for doing this.
Oh, thank you. Yes, my customers are the best. Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed it. Like when I'm in your Facebook group, because it's like really active, and you'll see how involved people are, and basically how they kind of love the community that's there. I would encourage everybody that's listening to just join our community, so you can basically see how people are benefiting from the stuff she's doing. Plus, I love it how you're really active in there, because when I heard you were doing like you're working full time as a lawyer, and next to that you're blogging and you're busy with all these kinds of stuff, that you're still like react to everybody's post. It's really crazy to to actually see.
I love it because it's just such a refresher, right? Because if I'm working on my blog for hours and hours, it's really nice to take a break for a few minutes or half an hour, go in my community, engage with people, help them, answer their questions. There's so much information under the units tab as well. I've created units with different kind of questions I get, different template questions, different customer testimonials, or just in general, like frequently asked questions. So yeah, it's just it's an ongoing process, but it just gives me that sense of fulfillment, right? And it's my way of giving back and connecting with my customers and making sure that I'm making your life easy. And I'm just so grateful for like hundreds of like 5-star reviews on my Facebook page, and every week I get like a new testimonial and a new customer thanking me. And to be honest, that's what keeps me going. And even when I mentioned there were times I wanted to quit, that these are the kind of things that the feedback I received from my customers is what fueled me with more energy and passion to keep going, because I know that at the end of the day I am making someone's life easy, and to me that's the biggest gift this business has given me.
It's really great to hear that people have, even though they're doing so much, that there are things out there that can motivate you to help other people. Yeah, like in that way. But
Right.
before I let you go, as I said, this is the Real Digital Success Podcast. So this is about giving people a real peek into what it takes to create an online business. I have a question for you. What is one thing you think is important to know about building an online business that is not talked about enough?
Yeah, to me, honestly, two things come to mind from personal experience. Number one is that I feel like the legal side of online business isn't talked about much. I have invested in so many courses and so many 6, 7 figure entrepreneurs, and I feel like one of the gaps that I see in the education is about the legal aspect of business. Everybody shows you how to do this, how to do that, or make money this way, but then they kind of neglect the most important piece. How do I cover myself? How do I protect that 6, 7 figure business? And so I found that gap and I've tried to bridge it. I've tried to then collaborate and with other entrepreneurs and provide my legal support and templates and things like that. So that's the first thing I noticed when I got into the blogging world in the online space. And that's why my business kind of blew up too, because like I said, there was such a huge need for it, right? And I was solving people's legal issues and problems. The second thing I've also noticed is that there isn't much talk about outsourcing. I've honestly had to struggle to find what are the things, like how to do it, how to kind of scale your business. There's just there I feel like that's another area that could be improved upon, because not everybody kind of shares their insight of their business completely or candidly, where they're like showing you, okay, this is what I do, this is how I do it, this is the virtual assistant I have, this is the blog post writer I have, or this is that what I have. That kind of information is usually a secret, but then it doesn't like kind of, but I feel like especially in my stage, it's so important to have that knowledge or that insight, because after a while you hit a plateau, and if you want to scale, you're going to have to outsource, you're going to have to hire help, and it's a learning process. and all the different courses. And trust me, I have invested in a lot. I would say at least 50, 60 different ones. I'm talking altogether investments in my
Wow.
business. Yeah, but I just haven't found a single one that has taught me the art of outsourcing, or, like, hey, this is the one aspect of your business that you could, everybody just teaches you how to do it yourself, but I don't want to do it all by myself. You
Yeah.
understand? Because there's only so many hours in the day. Like, I don't want to create a sales page on my own. I don't want to write a blog post on my own. I don't want to, after a while, I want to outsource these things. And I have had to really honestly learn a lot of it on my own. And there wasn't, every course that I took was just focusing so much on just doing it on my own. But I felt like that was not the right education, because again, you are just
Yeah.
and you're split in 10 different directions. That's how you experience burnout. Because if
Yeah.
you're going to do everything on your own, then it's just going to take you longer to reach the level of success that you desire. Again, that's just my opinion from based on what I've seen.
No, I really agree with you.
You
It's
do?
yeah, it's a thing that people don't really discuss, especially I think personally is the part is like which people you can trust with the things you do and which people you don't, and also maybe like the inner perspective of letting things go and trusting it to others. Because I've had multiple times where I had people write blog posts for me, and then at the same time you want to give them the freedom to do their thing, but when you when you look at it, you're like, no, I want you to do this and that and that, and that's not how it sounds like, that's not my voice, and blah blah, blah. It's hard to, at least for me, to just lay back and let them just do their thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And trust me, I've had the same experience. It's very hard to let go because you want to, it's your baby, right? It's your business,
Yeah.
and you want to have that control, and you want to dictate how you want it. So it's like I said, it's a process, and it's a mindset shift. And you're like, okay, it's okay to let go. It's okay to trust the other person. I'm not seeking perfection here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. A friend of mine, he told me like 2 weeks ago, because we were talking about this, and he struggles with this a lot too. And he basically heard from his father this advice. He said, you should basically treat your business not as your firstborn, but your secondborn. Because with your firstborn, you're overprotective. With your second, it's like, he'll survive, that kind of stuff. To let him go a bit so he could learn more, because we're overprotective most of the time, which is understandable because we've put so many energy and everything in it. But sometimes you really need to trust your instincts when it comes to hiring people, and just know that they'll do a good job.
Right, right. Or if they don't, it's okay. It's not the end of the world,
Yeah,
right? It's a learning experience for both of you, and you'll hire the next person.
yeah,
Like, it's just, you just have to streamline your business and processes in such a way that you're not investing the same amount of time every time, right? Like, so that's where I mentioned the standard operating procedures. Like, I have now, in the very first person, for example, when I hired, I did a live training with her. But the second one, I did no training. So I had already created the systems and processes, and I had everything written down. So now this second person could literally just watch it, or read it in their own time, and instead of me spending that hour or 2 hours with them. So
mm,
again, these are things you learn as you grow, right? And it's not something that you will just know from the very first time, unless there was a course that taught you how to do it, which again, I didn't come across. But so yeah, it's just one of those things that you just learn as you grow, and you're like, okay, the first person I hired, I did this wrong, so I will make sure that I do this, not do this the next time, and then the next time, and pretty soon you become better and better at it.
yeah. I really agree with that. It's really something that there should be a course about it. It's the same kind of void as there is with like the legal stuff, when you realize that is something that's overlooked, and it just baffles me that there's not something like that around at this moment, or at least not one
Yeah,
that's
that
really
we're
like,
aware.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, like again, I haven't come across, and I think I came across one that I invested in for blog post writing, but I mean like a more, a comprehensive one that just kind of literally teaches you the art of outsource. I know there are books out there and stuff, and but it's just like I said, most people, they want to sell you how to do something, and they just teach you how to do it on your own. They're not
Yeah,
teaching you how to give it to your next person to do it, right? So that's the gap, and that's the void that we are talking about. So because I, like I said, I am one person. I don't want to do everything on
yeah,
my own. Because if I started doing every single thing on my own, how would I get anything done, or how would
yeah,
I, create something new? I would just be so bogged down with just the mundane stuff I have to do on a daily basis. And
yeah,
that was happening to me. That was happening to me. They came at a time that I just couldn't get to everything. I couldn't get to my emails. I couldn't get to blog post writing consistently. I couldn't get to, creating new products or pages and things. So yeah, there comes a time in your business journey and you grow that you just can't keep up with everything as just as a solopreneur. You know what I mean?
yeah. But Amira, I wanted to thank you for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it, as I said, that you took some time out of your busy life to actually share some of your knowledge with the listeners. And I hope we can do this again soon.
Oh, absolutely. It was my pleasure. It was so great chatting with you. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, so Amira, if people are interested in these legal templates, where can they find you?
Absolutely. So there are two ways. So first is just go to my website, aselfguru.com, and visit the legal store page, and you will see all the different legal templates. You can buy them individually, or you can buy the discounted bundles. I have different bundles depending on different needs and different templates, and those are discounted. So meaning you save a lot of money. And for example, if you buy the starter legal bundle, instead of paying $300 for three different templates individually, you can grab it for like half of the price, right? So bundles are just much more cost effective and affordable, and that's why they sell a lot. So check out the legal store page. And then the second way you can easily connect and reach me, as we talked about, is through my Facebook community, Facebook group, Aselfguru Biz Blog Community. And then you can always come say hello. I love making new entrepreneur friends, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Then, yeah, as I said, I want to thank you for coming to the show, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode with my first podcast guest, Amira. I've learned a lot about protecting your business today. And if you are by any chance interested in the legal templates Amira offers, you can find them by going to realdigitalsuccess.com/LB. The L and the B stands for legal and bundle. So realdigitalsuccess.com/LB, and you will be directed to our website where you can find the legal bundles or the legal bundles that you can use to protect your business online. So yeah, that's all for today. This is the podcast Allergic to Everything Fake and Addicted to Everything Online, Authentic, and Real. This was the Real Digital Success Podcast. Peace.